Hey, it's Soul with another video. Another one. Yeah, really. Well, I already went through the Vulpera Allied race. It's only fair that I also go over the Mechagnomes, the other new Allied race that's coming in 8.3 of Battle for Azeroth, Visions of N'Zoth. Let's get right to it. Alright, first things first, what kind of classes can the Mechagnomes be? They can be a warrior, a hunter, a rogue, priest, mage, warlock, and monk. Mage and Warlock seem a little bit weird. You know what? All the Clothies, they seem a little bit weird. Mostly because it's like, hey, Mechagnomes, metal, not magic stuff, but they're still gnomes, I suppose. Gnomes still have a very high affinity for magic and that sort of thing. I'm sure that people are going to have fun being a Mechagnome of all sorts, like for example being a hunter with a metal pet and having a metal strider. You know, you can really pull off that steampunk look, especially as a hunter. Utility wise, and I'll talk about this a bit more when I get into the racials. I would say that Mechagnomes seem to be like they can be very effective tanks as well. They're going to have some pretty cool racial abilities that will give them a lot of extra life. I'm already a little bit envious of this particular allied race over most others because they're just more animated than all the others. The working gears, the funny little eyeballs, just the cool little animations and the metallic lines that come from it. It gives this particular race a kind of personality that you don't see in any of the other races, but it's just this one thing that makes the Mechagnomes unique. Just like all the other races make themselves unique in some way, shape, or form. Anyway, first let's take a look at the hunter pet that the Mechagnomes are going to get. They get a metal puppy. Again, I'm kind of jealous because I remember once upon a time I had to work pretty hard to get my first metal puppy, going through High Mountain, I believe, with my hunter. I had to get a certain, craft a certain thing so I can get some attributes. I forget what it was. I totally don't remember off the top of my head, but it took a little bit of work and the Mechagnomes get it free. Hey, that's a cool racial perk for them. When it all comes down to it, they're still gnomes. They're still gnome sized. They're still gnome shaped. They're just different gnomed skinned, but that's kind of cool. Let's look at what they're capable of. All right, we have a regular selection of skin colors. I'm just going to kind of briefly go through these because, oh wow, actually these are pretty different because the metal parts get different as well. It's not simply their skin, it's their metal skin, which I guess is the same thing anyway. So we see two different variations of the colors. We see a metal one, like a silverish metal. We see a gold metal. Are there any other types? We have kind of a darker, kind of semi-rusty metal to it. As for the rest of the skin, their fleshy parts, not so much of a big deal. Going a little bit closer, we have what looks like, we have a decent variation of faces, but they're very subtle, extremely subtle, given that most of the features of the Mechagnomes are not really with the face, it's everything else that's not the face. Let's take a look at the hairstyle. Hairstyle looks to be pretty similar, if not identical, to what is available on the regular gnomes, except for like this little crown thing. That's actually kind of clever. The hair color variations are pretty standard. You know, I'm a little surprised that. Let me go back here really quick. I'm slightly surprised that there's no bald option. Oh, I'm pretty sure that for the men, yeah, there is in fact a bald kind of option. But I think it would be cool to have one for the ladies as well. Facial hair options still seem to be a thing, and it looks to be pretty similar to what's available for the regular gnomes. The little goatee here, it's a little bit weird seeing it on this metal jaw, but I guess it works. So the Mechagnomes get modifications as well, unlike the Vulpera, which they get really just kind of a standard allotment of choices. So let's take a look at what we've got here. Wow, these are pretty. There are a lot of options. Holy cow. So wait, let me just scroll through really quick. 5, 6, 8, 12, 15, 16 different kinds of gear that they can sport. Between the ears, between the face, they can have different mask options. Holy moly. Okay, I'm super jelly. These guys have tons of different kinds of customization options available, including not having any ow. Wow, I can actually clean them up. That's pretty interesting. Let me hold on to those right there. So we can do the arms. And it looks like there is no option for them to have like no customization. It looks like it's always going to be some sort of thing, whether they have like actual fingers or if they have the claw. You know, it's one of those options right there. Kind of funny how they hold weapons like that. Interesting. It's like those old toys, those red claws. Looks like they also get leg upgrades, which are pretty hard to see here, unfortunately. But it looks like they either have what looks like skinny plates or thicker plates, something like that. So let's randomize this thing. Let's throw on something like that, and let's pop in game. Okay, this is already cool. They start freaking in Mechagon City, which totally makes sense, but I just think it's really cool that they start in what was a dungeon. Okay, I'm not going to worry about this stuff right here. Wow, cool. This is neat. I'm already digging this. But let's take a look at some of their other features, like the racials. All right, combat analysis. You gather and analyze combat data every 5 seconds, increasing your primary stats by 2, stacking up to 8 times. The data decays while out of combat. That's pretty interesting. Now, I'm sure this is going to scale up since I'm only level 20 here. Once I get to level 120 or 120 something or other, it's going to be a little bit higher. So it's interesting that they're getting like a straight up throughput buff, even though it's small, even though it mostly applies to longer periods of combat. They do get a flat primary stat buff. Good for them. Mastercraft. You function as a personal blacksmithing anvil. Wait, you function as a personal blacksmithing anvil, cooking fire, and a mining forge. In addition, your limbs include every profession tool. Wow, really? So people are gonna come running to you, and if you happen to be moving around or running away, people are gonna be like, hey, stop! I need you to stay still for just another minute so I can keep cooking or keep doing my profession stuff. It totally makes sense that they are self-sufficient and able to do blacksmithing and doing all this other stuff thanks to their mechanical bodies. Next, we have Rearm. When you fall below 20% health, you heal yourself for 20% of your maximum health. This effect cannot occur more than once than every 1.5. Wow, that's actually quite powerful. From like a tank standpoint, 90 seconds, you get a pretty beefy heal when you fall under 20 or so percent health. If it responds the same way as other effects, whenever you fall below a certain health, and it doesn't just otherwise one-shot you, unless you take a really big damage spike, this provides a lot of effective health for anyone who decides to especially be a tank as a Mechagnome. All right, here's another one, Hyper Organic Light Originator, which is straight up an ability that you don't know right from the start. Summon organic light duplicates to distract your foes. Ooh, so is this like mirror image, basically? I'm thinking that it's kind of like mirror image. We just don't know. I just don't know if it's going to be, hey, they're gonna run up to the enemy and start beating on their face, or if it really does look like mirror image, and let's say as a hunter, you see like 3 or 4 hunters like pewing, it's just that they don't do damage. That's, this is really interesting, and it has and it could have some pretty good PvP implications. The last one is Skeleton Pinky. It allows you to open locked chests and doors that require a skill level of up to 100. I do wonder if this scales up depending on level. If it does, then that makes it really convenient for basically Mechagnomes to be half rogues, which takes a little bit away from the rogues, which is kind of a bummer, but pretty cool as a racial. I think this is like pretty powerful for a quality of life kind of dealie. And finally, the Mechagnomes get a Mechagon Mechanostrider, basically a Mechanostrider. I mean, it's interesting that they're not even reaching for the controls. Comparing this to the Vulpera, I definitely like this one more than the Hyena that the Vulpera gets, mostly because of some of the effects. This one is, straightforward and clean, and it looks neat, and I definitely enjoy the artwork of the Mechagnomes and all their cool little gadgets and stuff. Yeah, it's just neat. It's cool, but it's not. I don't know. I guess I would say that Blizzard could have had the chance to make something like really different if they wanted to go about it, but they decided to stick with the gnomish roots and go with some sort of Mechanostrider. In this case, it's just this, and I don't know, I guess it's just kind of a bummer that it lacks a little bit of the personality of the actual Mechanostriders, which are, you know, meant to look like birds, and this one is simply a biped sort of dealie. So it's almost like the the people of Mechagon, or Mechagnomes, I guess, they themselves are just not very inspired of a people. They're just all about the utility more than anything. I guess that's kind of an in-character thing. So that pretty much wraps things up for the Mechagnomes Allied race. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you think that these are pretty cool, I do think they're pretty cool. But of course, feel free to share your thoughts. Like the video if you enjoyed yourself, and subscribe for more of this and all things Warcraft. I'll see you next time. Until then, stay safe, stay happy, and stay breezy.